Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast. This time it's episode 148. We're recording on July 29th, 2015. You're watching on the 30th or later. It's the end of July. We're now 7 months through this year already. Holy shit. This is the Free-to-Play Cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm Mike Barn, aka Magicman, as I am every week, and also joining me, as he does every week, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you? We're both wearing off-reds today.
Are we? Didn't you get the memo?
I did.
This is so embarrassing. I'm gonna take my shirt right off.
I'm mortified. No, please don't. Please.
Dude, gotta get the ratings.
Please.
Topless gamers.
Oh, yeah. God. Oh, boy. Now, that's a funny comment on a lot of levels, but we're not going to dig into why for Jason and I here. Let's just move on. Oh, we should mention that, obviously, Mr. Zach Sharp's not here with us this week. It's his birthday. It's his birthday. So, happy birthday, Mr. Sharps. You're missed.
What is he now, 17?
Next week. Oh, God. I'm not going to tell him you said that. Let's move on and get started with the news. All right, first up today. What?
He does look youthful.
He does look.
Everyone does to me when you get to my age, but whatever.
He does look youthful. All right, so first up today, it's happening again. And actually, I think it was last month or the month before, I saw an article in a Game Informer magazine that was a bunch of different free-to-play games that aren't free in the West, but are free in areas like Asia, particularly when you get into areas like China, too, which is a whole different ball game as far as PC gaming and console gaming. The landscape there has drastically changed over the last 2 years, since the console ban in particular was lifted. But we've seen big marquee West games, Call of Duty, obviously being one that we talked about on a previous show, maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, something like that. And now we're seeing one a little more recent that's not just an introduction of a global franchise. Hey, we would like to get Call of Duty in front of a Chinese audience. You and I talked about that one on a show, and it kind of made sense to us. You know, consoles weren't prevalent there for the legal reasons, so this is a global powerhouse franchise. Let's introduce it to China in a free-to-play PC game. Kind of makes sense. But now we're seeing announcements today from Nexon. We'll talk about that in a second, because it's kind of mind-boggling to me that Nexon's the company that got this. Money, I guess, would be the only reason.
Sure.
But it is mind-boggling. Titanfall is now going to be free-to-play, coming soon, as a free-to-play title in Asia. First off, thoughts on that as a whole. This isn't, let's introduce Asia to Titanfall, this extraordinary IP. This is an IP that has one game, and while received critically well at initial launch, really hasn't shown much staying power as far as keeping people interested in playing. So it's kind of a weird choice, I think. What do you think?
That, I think, is kind of at the heart of it. Is that it didn't really take hold. It didn't necessarily replace Call of Duty or Battlefield or any other like big name shooter. It seems. I think that was probably what EA wanted. They wanted to be a franchise. Probably they wanted to have a lot of stuff. It just never quite caught on to that extent. One other thing I could think of is I use Raptor, the video game tracking service.
Right.
And they've always had like Titanfall as one of their deals you can buy with their Raptor points, which I thought was really odd. Even like just a couple months after the game came out, it was being offered there. So it's been kind of shopped around, so to speak, in a bunch of different ways almost since launch. So on some level, it's not the absolute most surprising thing to me that it would be getting this kind of treatment.
Now, we don't have the exact location either, which I think is kind of unique. I mean, with Call of Duty, they specifically targeted China. It was, we're going to China with Call of Duty Online. Oh, and by the way, we're not opposed to bringing a free Call of Duty everywhere else, but we want to see how it goes in China first. Now this, it's Nexon. Again, we'll get to that in a second. Can't overstate that point enough. But right now we're just being advertised as available in Asia. So that's a pretty big area. I mean, I have to assume...
It's going to be Uzbekistan.
Yeah, I have to assume the target here is China, of course. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be limited to just China.
Yeah, I mean they could hit Korea, Japan,
Yeah, yeah.
those places.
It's really weird to me though, this one. I kind of don't get it. It seems like a neat little idea, but it also seems like I bought Titanfall when it came out. And I'm not really a first-person shooter guy. You know that, but I'll play anything just to be able to speak intelligently about it. I've played
I don't have that requirement.
I've played Elvenar for crying out loud just so I could speak intelligently about it, which, by the way, update, they put chat in there, but you have to be in a guild. Whatever. Anyway, so this one, it kind of hurts as a consumer in the West. Like, I get the Call of Duty thing, right, where they have a plethora of Call of Duty games. They're not releasing a very in-depth single-player campaign. It's more to introduce you to the IP and get multiplayer on there. But this one kind of hurts me. It feels like, well, we didn't make enough money off of you guys in the States. Thank you for buying it. But we need more people to play it, so we're going to release it for free elsewhere. It kind of smacks a little bit. Is that being too sensitive on my side?
Paid game goes free to play and you're offended? Come on, man.
No, I think it's a little
WildStar
different. That's a little bit different.
Oh.
Okay, now WildStar launched, it had its sub and everything, and I didn't mind paying it, and eventually it went free to play, and hey, I'm going to be part of that too. I can play the game for free if I want to. I can sub if I want to, just like everybody else. I look at it as for the last 2 years, I was able to play the game, or for the last year plus, a little over a year, I was able to play the game as a subscriber for my purchase. And you couldn't if you didn't want to purchase it, and that's fine. Not like you were missing too much in a lot of cases. But this is a little bit different to me. This is a retail release. This is no sub. It's a box fee, and it's yours. And now it's being given away. The same game, not a Call of Duty Online reworking, the same game is being given away to somebody based on geographic location simply because not enough of me bought it back then and they don't want to let it die. I don't know. It just kind of smacks a little bit to me.
See, I would think the geography part of it would make you feel almost a little better. The fact that it's not just coming to, it's not going to be free to play in America. So it's not like you could have saved your $50 or $60, whatever you paid, and gotten it a year and a half later. Because it's not, because you'd have to move to Asia if you wanted that. So you still have it essentially the same way that you did before, which of course isn't much because you apparently don't play it much, as a lot of other people didn't as well, because they were kind of thought it was a little bland. So I don't know. I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd have an uproar over this. It's not even like.
I'm not mad about it. It's just do you even think that the North American sales have anything to do with it? Like, if I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think the desire to get in front of 1 billion people in China is the sole factor here. I don't think they're going, well, we didn't do so well in the United States. What could we do? I don't think that plays into it at all.
Well, it's like I said, they've been having some sort of deals for this game almost since it came out. So they've definitely, like I said, I think they're trying to build up a kind of franchise. They want it to be huge. And if they can't get that straight up with box sales, they'll try to get it just with population.
So now the elephant in the room. Nexon. Nexon as the company. I don't get this one. It kind of seems like a no-brainer for me. Go with Tencent. Right?
Yeah.
If China's the market you want, and Titanfall's the game that you're going to do it with, you do it with Tencent. What's with the choice behind Nexon?
Well, again, we don't know that it's China. We were just assuming that Nexon is mostly does stuff in Korea and Japan. Although it actually is what is it? Their Korean subsidiary, Nexon Korea Corporation, is what's doing this. So maybe that's not their plan. Maybe they only want to take it to Korea.
Oh, I can't see that.
You don't think so?
No. Come
Yeah,
on. I think you're just throwing something out there on that one. There's no way the target audience is just Korea. No, they're going after China. To me, it makes a little more sense with Tencent. I don't know if I'm that excited about this. Like, even if I'm in China and I'm interested in the game, Nexon just has such a bad vibe, and especially when it comes to the free-to-play stuff and the cash shops. And to be fair, not all of their cash shops are terrible, but some of them are, and they're very pronounced in how bad they are, and that's the pervasive opinion that goes out there. And looking at the comments, this article just went up today, and there's comments already. Oh God, Nexon. So what's going to happen to those who bought the game? Well, nothing, because we're not in that region anyway, and people in that region haven't bought the game. Honestly, I don't know whether to be scared or impressed, but probably mostly scared. This is Nexon we're talking about.
But the thing is, that's because we don't have, to take your example, we don't have a great idea of everything that Tencent does. Maybe maybe people in China feel about Tencent the way we do about Nexon over here.
Tencent owns everything.
Well, sure, I know. Well, that was a reason to hate them.
Then there's other people, and this is another question that's, I think, worth talking about on this one, is the only reason they're doing this is buy-to-play games don't really fly in places like China, stuff we've already talked about. They already have the free-to-play Call of Duty, Battlefield, etc. This is by Trumbull's on the website.
Sure.
It'll probably be horribly stripped down compared to the original release. And you could argue that Call of Duty Online is that. It's a very stripped down version of the IP itself. You think there's a concern with that going with Titanfall, that it's not going to be quite what we bought with the box, that they're going to get a stripped down version of it and then be pushed to the cash shop for maybe some of the other things that we got in the box sale?
I thought that was one of the issues with Titanfall to begin with, that there wasn't a whole lot there, and that's why I didn't hang on at the first.
Well, yeah.
How much can they strip it down? I mean, if you're talking about, I've never played Titanfall, so I don't know exactly what kind of differences there are in the different mechs and different guns and so on, but I mean, that wouldn't be a bad way to go necessarily, give you a smaller subset of stuff that you have, because they have to make their money somehow. They're not going to make, and hopefully,
Well, and here's the thing. I think it's a valid concern. This is from Owen Mahoney, President and Chief Executive Officer for Nexon, about this in their initial press release. With its pilot versus Titan gameplay, among other innovations, Titanfall is a uniquely intense game experience. We look forward to working with the talented teams at Respawn and EA and leveraging Nexon's free-to-play expertise to deliver a new and engaging online game based on Titanfall to the Asian market. So I think it's kind of and that's right from their press release.
Yeah.
Definitely causes a little bit of a red flag. Wait a minute, your headline says Nexon and EA are to bring PC online Titanfall experience to Asia.
The Titanfall
so they put the
experience.
experience in there.
Yeah,
and then you have a quote saying based on Titanfall. I don't know.
Titanfall card game. I don't know.
Any of our Chinese viewers, please, when this comes out, or if you just want to sit down and shoot me an email about your Call of Duty Online experience, we would love to hear about what you guys like and don't like in those titles as they're being ported from Western to Eastern audiences. Definitely shoot me an email, magicman@mmobomb.com. Let us know how you feel about those, and if you play Titanfall when it becomes available, of course, let us know that one too. I think it's interesting. It's interesting. It's all about making money. Why can't they just do it for free?
Why don't we ever see this over here? Why don't we see this over here?
Right.
Titanfall over here.
Right. We want Titanfall in the West. Wait a minute. Wait.
Well, free-to-play Titanfall.
Wait.
Give it the Team Fortress 2 treatment.
Wait a minute. Speaking of companies like EA, Nexon, Carbine, everybody we've just mentioned, our own Mr. Jason Winter here wrote a little article over on the MMORPG.com, as he occasionally does, and you've probably seen some of his Guild Wars 2 stuff and odds and ends and analysis stuff. If you like those pieces, Jason has always been, even before I knew him personally, one of the writers I like to read on that type of analytical, just kind of dig in.
You were that dick in the comments.
I was that dick in the comments. So you wrote one kind of revisiting something you talked about a year ago, using Glassdoor, I believe it is, as far as rating some of these video game companies, in particular in the MMO space. Take us kind of through the article first, and then we'll hit a couple of the companies themselves.
Well, my basic notion of it is, and I wrote this more so back in the article I originally did in 2013, back with Game Skinny, where I said that, we all have this notion of how companies are, and one in particular, EA, because we always had that blog a long time ago about the EA spouse who wrote about his husband working 90 hours a week and doing that for like 6 months in a row. So we all had this notion of, EA is a terrible place to work, and other companies and so on. We think, this place is awful, this place is great. We usually base that in large part on the games, how much we like the games and how well they seem to be, how well they seem to be and how quickly they seem to get out and so on. So I try to find as at least somewhat an unobjective source for that sort of thing as you could. And obviously, Glassdoor is a site where employees and former employees can leave feedback and so on. And obviously they're going to leave different opinions, and some people are going to be, some places are going to get more, shit on or whatever than others based on what the people working there think of it. And it's not perfect, but at least it gives you more of an insight based on actually people who are there, as opposed to all of us on the outside looking in to see, to give our own pretty much uninformed opinions of what goes on there. So that's what I did. I did that 2 years ago with a bunch of different gaming companies, and then for the MMORPG article, I did it just with RPG and MMORPG companies, and I produced a list. Basically, everyone who goes there to the site wants to leave a rating, can leave a rating from 1 to 5, and Glassdoor compiles all that. Doesn't straight up average them. That's not what they do anymore. They do weigh more recent reviews a little more heavily, because of course as companies change over time, a company that was crap 5 years ago and got a bunch of low ratings might be better now, might be more improved, so they tend to reflect that a little better. And yeah, it gives you ratings from 1 to 5 on. It breaks it down into a bunch of different categories. I just went with the overall one. And something else they also put in is whether you can vote yes or no as to whether you approve a CEO at that location. So that's what I put there. I put them all, I ranked them, and I made some observations.
All right, so let's kind of go through some of these observations. And you kind of, and I'm going to pull the list up here. Obviously, I'm not going to show this for too long because it's just an Excel sheet.
Well, okay. Well, don't get in trouble for showing Eve Online then. You don't want YouTube to ban us then for showing Eve Online.
That's still one of the best tweets I've ever seen. The tweet of our conversation about doing giveaways, and I had massive Excel sheets because I had like thousands of beta keys to give away. Oh, so you're playing Eve? No, Jason, I'm not playing Eve. Now, you filter this list a little bit and kind of kept it, while there are a few of the big names you just mentioned, like Rockstar Games and stuff like that on the list, for the most part, these are MMO developers / publisher companies, and maybe they hit into the MOBA space and the first person, a little bit of overlap.
Basically, it was pulled from the MMORPG game list. Any company that was listed on there, which includes Rockstar for GTA 5 because they have the online bit, but, that's where it came from.
All right, so I want to look real quickly here at some of the free-to-play ones, because some of these surprise me and some of them just absolutely don't. Riot Games being towards the top of the list, and in your analysis on MMORPG.com, you could make an argument that Riot Games is still on the top, just for sheer number of actual reviews by itself, maintaining the high rating it does. Kind of surprising to see Hi-Rez Studios right behind it, although the sample size is significantly smaller.
Yeah, it was the one exception I made. It had to have at least 10 reviews, but I gave it to them for having 9, just because they are a pretty, a big-ish name in this part of the world.
So, Todd Harris, COO of Hi-Rez, if you're watching, go ahead and do a review so that next time we don't have to make a special dispensation.
Actually, the site lists Erez Gorin as the CEO. I believe Todd is just the president.
Todd is the COO.
Okay, that's it. Okay,
the COO.
Right. CEO is, someone else.
Yeah. Todd Harris is the COO. Operationals. So, and then we have Obsidian Entertainment. Right. I'm stunned by this one.
I think Spunkify left a few reviews there.
I'm stunned by this one. 11 reviews, obviously a small number, giving them a 4.1 rating, which on your analysis is significantly above the average point, and 100% CEO approval on 4?
Correct.
Wow. Again, small numbers, but damn, everybody loves their CEO. Everybody that thought enough to go to Glassdoor loves
not
the
everybody.
CEO.
If only 4 of them did it out of the 11 reviews, and not everybody loved him enough.
Valve, Kabam, all those other Blizzard.
Kabam is the one that seems weird to me.
Yeah, a little bizarre. That's a lot of reviews and a really high score. And then you kind of get this cluster. Right around the 3.0 to the 3.8 range, 3.7 range, lots of free-to-play companies in here. You got Turbine, you've got Red 5 Studios, which, by the way, Firefall's going to the PlayStation 4. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Red 5 also is the biggest up mover from when I did this in 2013. Which
Yeah,
I did that just before they got rid of a Mark
Mark
Kearns.
Kern.
That,
Uh,
that's why it's gone up so far.
InnoGames stuns me. InnoGames stuns me. If you don't know what InnoGames is, they're a company that does a lot of little games. They don't have like the big AAA thing, but their games like Elvenar, Griopolis, like to me, all of their while they do what they do very well and they make money, and I'm not faulting them for that. And there's people that like these types of games. To me, every single one of their games is the same. It's that
Well, that makes it
strategy
easy that
city
makes it
builder
easy
with
for
the
the
timers.
that makes it easy for the people who are making it, so they love it. It's all the
Oh,
same game.
yay. I got to go all the way down a little further. Nexon and Perfect World coming in at 2.9 with area games. So all the players that we normally see pay to win comments on are all in the same bucket, a little below average even according to their employees. And then you really take a dive when you start looking at Carbine Studios and its parent company NCSoft. And even Bandai Namco is surprisingly low for the small amount of free-to-play stuff that Bandai does for us to talk about. Some surprising numbers. What shocked you the most?
I would say it still is Kabam. If I'm going to talk about free to play company, I'm just surprised that again a sort of a I don't know what's the best way to put it. I guess free to play mobile crap game company.
Shovelware.
So well, there you go. That's it. Yeah, I'm surprised to see that they rate that well, and it's with a pretty good number of reviews, 103 reviews to give me a 4.0.
Well, maybe that's because they're making so much money that
That's
it doesn't
that's what
matter.
although I thought I looked and saw that their compensation, like part of it, was not that outstanding. One thing to note is that three of the companies on this list, and Kabam is one of them, are listed as being open, which means that they do. Let's see, what does it mean? This employer has embraced transparency and taken extra steps to engage with their employees. So those companies might be getting a little more of a positive feedback because they work a little more closely with Glassdoor, which a lot of people are saying, oh well, all you have to do is all those companies that are up high, they're just encouraging their employees to go there, which could be true, but also all the companies that are down low, the more that is, the more you're going to be the type of person who's just like, screw this place, I want to leave them a one review or whatever. So,
Right.
yeah, it could be, but it could work both ways depending on which narrative you want to promote.
I'm really, really surprised. Like, NCSoft is a bit of a weird beast for me. Is a weird beast. I get the Carbine Studios being way down. I get it. If you just looked at what has happened, not even with the game WildStar, just looked at what's happened with that studio over the past 8 to 9 months and who's left and why they left and when they left and some of the things that we've heard publicly from employees about, there's no real leadership, and the leadership that is there, it's cliquey, and all the stuff you've heard. It doesn't surprise me that they're down there. But NCSoft is a company that, at least to me, in the West, does have a pretty good track record. I'm not going to accuse NCSoft of having too many pay-to-win elements when they publish their content in the West. When they give it to other publishers, particularly in Europe with the games like Ion and stuff like that, yeah, there are pay-to-win elements there. And so maybe you want to ding NCSoft as a consumer for giving the publishing rights to somebody else and is doing that. But I'm really surprised that they're this far down the list because generally you may not like that they closed City of Heroes because it wasn't profitable enough. But generally, they do make intelligent decisions. So internally, I would think that would be comforting that they are making at least financially intelligent decisions, and it doesn't seem to be the case. What are the reviews saying?
I was just getting onto their page again. First of all, I pulled these on like July 7th, so about 3 weeks ago. They're up to a 2.1 now. They've gotten a few more reviews. Oddly, though, their CEO, you'll see he's got a 13% on 26 reviews, according to the spreadsheet. Right now, he's got 36 reviews and is at 5%. Like, he's gotten 10 more reviews, and people have just trashed him. Here's a review that came out. Hectic schedules, poor leadership, and invisible HR. Golden past, trying present, murky future. So-so.
Wow.
Sucks is one of the titles of the review. Just sucks. Subsidiary wrought with demands from Seoul HQ. Well, and I should mention too. Pretty much all of these are from American employees. It says that there are people who work for their different American branches.
Wow.
So
So, yeah. Maybe they're making decisions that are only financially interesting for them.
although what was I was gonna see. Oh, never mind. Okay.
That's stunning. I'm surprised. Like, I would expect them to be lower simply because of how big they are. It's kind of like I expect EA to get trashed more than it's praised because it's such a big company that you're going to piss off more people that are going to be willing to go public with being pissed off. So I kind of get that. Like, Gazillion Entertainment, you know, your staff isn't big enough to piss off a ton of them. But
Yeah.
EA or NCSoft you are, so I expected them to be a little down, but
NCSoft was a 2.4 by the way
yeah,
2 years ago, so it's not like they've really changed much.
yeah, that's rough. And apparently, it's just not a good place to
Although
work.
I did in general mention that was interesting. All the like major, I mean, the bigger MMO companies, ones we really think of it, were really all close to the bottom.
Yeah,
NCSoft, yeah, I mentioned. Well, Carbine isn't really big on its own, but ZeniMax, CCP, Square Enix, Daybreak, Area, Perfect World, all of those below 3.0. Nexon at 2.9.
yeah, and keep in mind we're not talking about consumer perception here.
Yeah,
We're talking about what it's like to work in that company from people that work there.
Mhm.
Yeah, you may love NCSoft, but the people that work there, obviously, the ones that are being vocal about it, do not.
And we kind of alluded to Daybreak last week when we were talking about Smedley. So, yeah,
How's
I think that
Daybreak?
they were 2.8, which is also not that good. Smedley was pretty low. This was published before, or these numbers at least were pulled before Smedley left his post. So,
Interesting stuff. All right, so here's what I want the viewers to take a look at. What company do you want to work for? Let me know in the comments which one of these companies on your screen you want to work for and tell me why. I don't even care if it's just because you absolutely love League of Legends and it would be so cool to work for Riot Games and work on League of Legends. I don't care. Tell me which one of these companies on your screen right now you want to work for and why in the comments below. Before we get to the bombs, last piece of news today, Skyforge detailed their first big update that will be coming soon, TM, since the first big update since the launch of open beta. Now, that's good news, of course. Of interesting note here, though, is a few things. I really liked the first article that the devs posted a little while ago. And we alluded to this on a previous show, but we really didn't talk about it. This was on July 22nd, where a lot of players were getting kind of miffed with the weekly spark limit. Understandable. You're playing it for a day or two and you reach the cap and it's like, well, what the hell do I do for the whole week? My.com and Obsidian Entertainment heard your complaints and basically released a dev diary that in about 4,000 words says you're playing wrong. Not your concerns are valid or maybe we should do something about that spark cap. It was you're doing the internet's wrong. So they pointed out that people that were in the 2,500 to 3,500 prestige range started asking what else was available to participate in after reaching their spark limits, because even with these limits in place, other players had managed to reach 5 to 7K prestige, which is double what these people with the hard cap on prestige were seeing that they could do. And so Skyforge dev team came out, and granted, this probably needed to be said because it's a big portion of the game. I just think it could have been said a little differently, or maybe, I don't know, put into the fucking game itself to kind of guide you over there. That if you aren't taking care of your order and gaining people, you're missing out on a lot of prestige and power gains that you can do that don't rely on the weekly sparks. Because remember, I did a whole detailed article on this one when they really first released it before, like, I think the second test. Your power in game is influenced by three things: your Ascension Atlas, which of course has the cap, your equipment, which is normal for MMOs, and then your order, getting your followers, getting more followers, getting them to do things for you. And a lot of players apparently, according to the dev team, are ignoring the order part of it. And so Jason, you're playing wrong.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not. I'm paying attention to my order.
How's your order doing?
Pretty lousy. It is a lot slower than at least how I've been playing, and I'm only at like 4,000 prestige, 4,000, 4,500. Yeah, it's a lot slower progress than just Ascension Atlas. 'Cause again, I'm also not maxing out my spark caps and yeah, my spark cap things. Yeah. But yeah, I mean it's slower, and the bonuses don't seem to be a whole lot, not in comparison to what you can get for sparks. So
So there's kind of an incentive reason to be ignoring it to a certain
well,
extent.
it seems like, and this is what I kind of alluded to in my article. It's like the main way to progress is through the Ascension Atlas and through your sparks, through getting that stuff. This seems like more of a side thing that you can get a few small bonuses for, and you get a little prestige here and there. But the best way to advance is to use the Ascension Atlas, and if that's the best way to advance, that's what players are going to want to do 98% of the time, as opposed to this little side thing about every hour and a half when my new missions come up, I pay attention to it for like 5 minutes, then I go back to dungeons or whatever for an hour and a half. So, yeah, it makes sense that that's people are going to concentrate on if that's what seems like gives you the biggest
Go where the power is.
biggest progression.
Now, in the update that's coming, not only are they going to be adding their distortions and some of their raid content and things for higher prestige pantheons to do, but some of this new content comes with an interesting little caveat. You're going to be able to get bonuses from this content that will help you progress your Atlas, but they won't count towards the weekly spark cap. So we're not removing the weekly caps. We're not adjusting them, inflating them. We're not doing anything with them, but we're going to add content that doesn't count towards those caps. This seems a little weird to me. While I appreciate it, and I'm sure players will appreciate it, this is starting to seem very, very weird to me. And I don't quite get the point now of the caps. If you put the caps in game, Jason, right? Jason, you're only allowed to get 2,000 widgets a week.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want, and you use these widgets to gain power, if you want to get 3,000 widgets a week, pay me $3. We'll give you this potion, and it will unlock 3,000 per week as your limit from here on out. Now, if that's what Skyforge were doing,
Which it's not.
to be absolutely clear, that is not what they are doing. Yes, you can bypass the credit caps. We're talking about the spark caps at this point. This is not what they're doing. But if I was doing that with my game and my widgets, it would make sense. You'd scream pay to win, and you'd have every right to scream pay to win, but at least my weekly caps would make sense. They're there to try and entice you to say you can play the game to this point every week for free. If you want to do a little more, give me a couple of bucks. We'll let you do a little more. If I don't like your game enough, I'm not going to give you the money, and that's the end of the relationship right there. Or if you just don't like that practice, maybe you don't, a la Star Wars. But that's not what they're doing. You can't buy an item to raise your cap or anything like that. So since they aren't selling items to remove it, what the hell's the point of the cap at this point? Not just initially, because initially maybe you're thinking, well, we don't want Jason to progress and tear all of our content wide open in 5 days, and so we want to kind of lengthen this stuff out a little bit. Okay, maybe that was your initial thought going into launch. But now you're talking about adding an update in open beta that adds content that gives Jason those rewards, and they don't count towards the cap. So I really don't get the point of the cap anymore. Is it just an attempt to... Our game is good enough that Jason is going to want to play every week if we put limits on what he can do each week and retain him for a longer period of time? It seems like that would piss off more people than it would retain. So I don't get it. What am I missing?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is all then related to. I try to figure this out here. I'm not far enough to. I don't have my God form unlocked yet, but I seem to be talking about the Divine Atlas and the stuff you get for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that seems to be like more of an end game kind of thing, which it seems weird that you've got a game where it seems to like cap your progress as you're leveling, and then it's going to let you progress faster when you hit end game. It's like completely opposite of what every other game does.
Right.
But I sort of get it in the sense that right now when I play, and the game's been in open beta or I guess in the early access at least for like 3 weeks now. I think something like that. 3 weeks, maybe it's gonna be 4 this week. I'm already seeing people at like 15,000 prestige. I'm seeing advanced classes running around in the groups that I'm in. I'm like I said, I'm only around 4,000, so I'm well behind that. I haven't been playing a ton. So I think the idea of the caps early is, like I said, to try to draw out the main game for a while. Once you get to a point though where you've already got most of the cool stuff unlocked, I guess they're saying, well, why not at this point just let you go ahead and keep going as fast as you want? You kind of see the almost logic behind that. That once we've slowed you down so that you can experience, because what does everyone do? Oh, the new game is out. I'm gonna get the max level in like 3 days.
Yeah,
Now you do the other stuff and be bored as hell. They're saying, okay, we're gonna make you slowly make your way along here. Okay, made it to the end. Okay, now play however you want.
yeah, but for every person that entices, oh man, I can't
I'm not
wait
saying it's
until
a
next
great
week. Yeah, it's a bad idea, but I've got to think that even they would have had to go. You know what? For every Jason Winter that likes our game enough to tear through the cap and go, man, I can't wait to see you next Wednesday because yeah, I know exactly how I'm going to play next Wednesday and what I want to do. There's got to be 50 Mike Burns that go, fuck it. I don't want to. Forget it.
Exactly.
Okay, wait. I'm done. I have to stop now. Oh, I could go do the order things. Well, I don't want to do the order thing. I don't know. They seem silly to me at this point to even have a cap there. Now,
I give them credit for trying something. I just don't know that it was a good idea.
Yeah, and it's.
Or this is the way to do it.
It's weird because when you look at like a World of Warcraft or even a Final Fantasy XIV, these types of caps exist, right? Even in subscription-based MMOs, but they're not global. It's for this particular gear set, which is the highest gear set in the game right now, you need to farm these little trinkets, and you can only farm so many at a time for a certain week, for each week, because we need to gate the content a little bit so that we can get to our next patch and put it in. And I get that to a certain extent. You're not limiting. I can still do everything I want to do in Final Fantasy XIV. I just have to slowly earn the very best gear in the game. I kind of get that. This is like a global.
Well, this is just the reverse of that. They're slowing you down early on, as opposed to letting you have like I said, as opposed to letting you have the unlimited progress and being max level in 3 days.
Take the caps away, for crying out loud. They're not serving a point to me, and maybe I'm missing something. Skyforge players, if I'm missing something big that the caps do serve a really good point, and I'm just not a Skyforge player enough to understand it, throw it in the comments. To me, though, I don't know why you leave new players with a little bit of a bad, even if it's just a little bit of bad taste in their mouth, and then tell them, well, if you deal with this pain in the ass thing long enough, you won't have to deal with it at endgame. I don't know. Put it in the comments below. Maybe I'm stupid and I don't get it. Let's head over to the boss. Mr. Winter, you're up.
All right, I will start with an A-bomb to an employee of Gaijin Entertainment who tried to blackmail a YouTuber into giving only positive coverage of War Thunder.
There we go again.
Oh my God! So here's some of the quotes that I got from the sites that I heard about this. The producer Pavel Kulikov had Fyodorov, that's the YouTuber, had Fyodorov's channel taken away, citing copyright infringements, and subsequently attempted on several occasions to coerce Fyodorov to sign a contract with an NDA and an agreement to produce only positive videos on War Thunder. This contract would forbid Fyodorov to criticize War Thunder under penalty of $10,000 for each contract breach. The contract further forces the YouTuber to make 4 positive War Thunder videos per week. So you've got a guy who's basically doing this for free. He's, obviously, he likes War Thunder. He's probably saying good things about it most of the time, but sometimes he calls a spade and he criticizes it. And someone at Gaijin just got a bug up their ass about him saying bad things about the game. And
now we're gonna force you into unpaid labor.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And if you screw up, then we're gonna sue you to death. Now the guy who did this, the executive or whatever did this, he's no longer working at Gaijin. The CEO stepped in.
Good.
Apologized and kicked the guy out. So.
Good.
But A-bomb to any idiot who thinks he can get away.
Yeah. This is not the first nor the last time we will see this stuff. I'm going to give an A-bomb to Tree of Savior's beta site process. So, if you haven't heard, Tree of Savior, the ARPG that is going to be getting an English version, is going to have an English version beta through Steam very shortly here, next month in August. And your ability to sign up, if you're watching this show, you really need to do it on the day I put this up, the 30th. You really need to go do it now if you want to sign up. There is no sign-up process. You just go to their website and you log in. Which you will need Facebook or a Google Plus or one of those. It's one of those link your profile type deals. Once you do that, you're automatically entered as long as you reside in a country that doesn't have a publisher already picked out for Tree of Savior, like the United States. That's the process. They're going to give away 5,000 keys on July 31st, and that's it. I'm giving the process an A-bomb, even though it's extremely easy, because it's dependent on the being able to access the website, which for the first 2 days, you couldn't do. All right, viewer bombs. 5000 CZ says, A-bomb to Skyforge server lags. It's almost unplayable. Hope they fix it fast so I can get back to playing it. Well, you should have a little bit of relief now. The hardware issues have been addressed on that one a few times.
Yeah, I had a couple nights where it was pretty tough, but it seems to have been good the last few nights I've been playing.
Go for it.
All right, Legionist1 says, well, I commend Turbine's effort to trying to add to Lord of the Rings Online. He's talking about the weekly episode of content we talked about last week. He said, it is too little, too late, and there's nothing to fix the current problems it has, or to bring people back to the game. As always, they're behind the curve about a year, and the only people who are currently playing are those who are already dedicated to the game and would not leave regardless of Turbine's actions, as they are bringing value to the game through their dedication and love of Lord of the Rings. And that's really a problem for any old MMO. It's like, once you get down to your base who's just never going to leave. I always think of EverQuest as being like this. EverQuest has as many players as it has now or ever will have again. Those people are never going to leave. They're going to be there until they shut down the servers. And Lotro is probably in that same kind of situation.
Penlion says, I think Smedley, on the topic of John Smedley last week leaving Daybreak, is right that these hacker groups should be severely punished. Not only are they costing companies millions of dollars, but they prevent players from enjoying their games and force companies to waste resources that could be used for bug fixes or creating new content. Companies should create a fund that could be used for rewards to bring these jerks to justice. I would be willing to put $20 towards the cause.
just buy H1Z1. There you go. For $20 full.
Also on Lotro's stuff.
Oh, more. You just got it all for me. All right.
I know. I spaced it out so you had the Lotro stuff because I'm a good guy.
Tepic says, Lotro's episodic content. It is varied content that runs every week for a year, and it gives special rewards like pets. It's written by Maid of Lions, who is developer Jeff Libby, who seems like one of the most passionate writers they have there based on his regular posts in the forums. As for when it starts on the 22nd. Okay, I missed that
That
date.
means that started while we were recording.
I'd say it was. Yeah, so it was last week. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. I got to make my new alt. I got to get in there.
Womp womp. Commenter says, it confounds me Smed wasn't fired long ago for driving Sony Online Entertainment straight into the ground. He'd make a good politician because his professional survival skills are amazing. Interesting. I don't know if I would say he drove.
I don't say he drove
it into the ground.
No.
He did do and say some stuff that I'm like, but I don't know if I'd go as far as drove it into the ground.
He's no Mark Kern. Sick Rob says, how come you guys are not covering Magic Duels? Just curious. Well, it actually is supposed to launch today for PC on Steam. I'm going to be looking it up in a little bit. It was out on Android and iOS devices, and I actually don't have a smartphone right now, so I have not been able to give it any look-see. But now that it's out on Steam, if it is like today or whenever, I will be looking at it and probably doing a first look.
Yep, and I kind of replied to this right on the website too. We have been covering it. If you look up, we have articles about it.
Sure.
But no video for those reasons. We're waiting for the PC version, and it is available on Steam right now.
Okay.
It's not getting good reviews. Not getting good reviews. We're gonna do we've got a couple first looks coming up, gang, where they're gonna be dual commentary looks because there are games like this where, it's an interesting perspective if you get two people playing each other. This Duelist is another one that we're going to record tomorrow, so you guys will probably watch that one on Friday when it goes up. It'll be Jason and I. So this will be one of those too, and it's kind of mixed reviews right now. The game started up, all I could do was hear the music. Could also only move my mouse around, and it sounded like I was clicking buttons, but I couldn't see anything but black on the screen. And in case you're wondering why we don't do first looks for a lot of things on launch day, this is why.
This is why.
We'll be taking a look at Duelist and Magic duels tomorrow, and going from there with first looks. Question of the week last week was, while I'm sure the City of Titans team is working very hard on something they feel very passionate about, I have to ask if the project will ever release the way players would like to. What do you think? Exclusive X Treasure says, now on to City of Heroes. I'm an avid role player myself, yet the chat room thingy is probably not for me. It was for Jason.
Actually, I haven't actually downloaded the chat room part of it. I just downloaded the running around in the city kind of thing. Chat is something separate I have to download.
While I do social roleplay, standing around and talking from time to time, I tend to do more action roleplay, repurposing dungeons and quest areas for the story. Sounds like fun, actually. The only thing I may download it for is to recreate my character so I can screenshot them, since my computer died shortly before City of Heroes did, and I never got the chance. Jason spent like half an hour in the character creator. As for City of Titans, I am hopeful, and I like what I've seen so far. The fact is, no one is going to be able to recreate City of Heroes exactly. I'm glad they're putting a lot into this game, and I think, however, whenever it comes out, I will try it. I don't think that'll be soon, and while I think it'll be something worthwhile and fun, it will never be City of Heroes. Fair point.
All right, Eduardo Irizarry. I probably butchered that, but sorry, Eduardo. It says DC Universe or even Champions Online, City of Heroes' little brother, essentially didn't even come close to being as good as City of Heroes. I played all of them, and Champions was okay, but it didn't feel like City of Heroes. I didn't feel like a hero. It felt just like any other MMO. DC sometimes makes me feel like a hero, but again, it was never the same. It's all to each their own.
Shadow Wolf says, my Kickstarter City of Titans. I say no. What? I say
you gotta edit these sometimes, man.
I can't. I feel bad editing viewer comments. I say no. Oh, okay. City of Titans. I say no. Here's why. In forums, most people want to see City of Heroes 10.1v, half topic same as or close to City of Heroes. The other half want to see a new superhero MMO. You're fucked either way. And so I see one forum topic, use Unreal Engine for City of Titans. I can't confirm that one. I probably could with a quick visit to the site. But Shadow Wolf, I think, kind of hits it dead on. It's what you just said. You're not going to make everybody happy. Either way. Question of the week, I already gave it to you. Let me know what company in Jason's list you would want to work for if I could start you in that job tomorrow. Let us know in the comments below who you want to work for, what you want to do for them, and why. Don't forget your weekly bombs. You guys slacked on it last week, but that's all right. Everybody wanted to talk about Lord of the Rings and Smedley, and we're fine with that too. If you got questions, put them down there as well. Until next week, Jason Winter, where can everybody find you?
Find me on the Twitter at WinterInformal and streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. magicman. You can find me over, obviously, at mmobomb.com, where I'm writing articles and doing all that fun stuff and doing giveaways and Excel sheets. Or you can follow me on Twitter at magicman, magicman1, MAGICKMANN1. Until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers.